All right. Hello, everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives. And it's Friday morning, so we're having a live chat and many, too many things open at once. So there you go. All right. So this morning we are broadcasting on Rumble, also on Facebook, also on Twitter, and also on McDuff Lives #2 and McDuff Lives #3 on YouTube. And although I am happy to see my Rumble subscribers going up in numbers, I'm still nowhere near 1,000. I've only got 540 some. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to McDuff Lives, all one word, on Rumble. It's a Rumble channel, and I have 3 Rumble channels now. So don't miss out on the content we're putting up on our other channels on Rumble. One of them is called McDuff Archive, and in that one you'll find all of the book readings that we've been reloading from the channels that YouTube struck. And then the other one, the newest one, is called McDuff Minefields Archives. And what we are doing there, we've gone back to our earliest that we have in our archive, and that was number, I can't remember, number 80 something. And now we're going forward in our McDuff Minefields so that every time we post something, it'll be in the next sequential number. We've lost the first 80 or so, along with a number of book readings because of YouTube's strikes and taking down our first 2 channels. So that's why we are repopulating them onto McDuff Archive on Rumble and also onto McDuff Minefield Archive, which is our newest channel. We're going to keep on pushing out the material that we've done in the past, as well as new material, such as what we did this week. We had a very successful week. We discussed 3 major books this week. We also had some great interviews. Interviewed um, Hervoye Morich, and he, of course, he is an expert in geopolitics academically. He studied in Geneva, and he's been to Kazakhstan and to Mongolia, and he's been to, oh my goodness, all the places that he's been to and been able to meet with some very high level folks as he develops his career as a journalist in the field that, we're very glad to have him. He's a very knowledgeable man. And interesting, we have different perspectives on things. So I enjoy talking to people that, although I might disagree with them, I'm not violently disagreeing with them. I just think that perhaps, well, maybe this religious belief is different from mine, but that doesn't mean that either one of us is right or wrong. We're all humans, and we're fishing around in this sea of information, trying to grab onto the truth. And sometimes we get close, but I don't think anybody has a handle on the truth. And so, hello, and checking the chat now here in our YouTube studio. We're speaking on YouTube this morning with the condition that we will try not to speak of things that they don't want me to speak of. You know, uh, you have to obey YouTube's rules, or else you get smacked down. It happens to me every other week. It seems they're going to do something. And since I invited George, and I'm glad to have George Webb back on the show from time to time. It's great to get back together with George. We had some wonderful conversations and did a lot of on the street investigating together. And anyway, so he's on fire lately, doing a lot of great work. But he let me know, kind of privately, that a certain person who's been plaguing him with trolling and taking aggressive actions to strike his channels is also now after me, and that is pretty apparent to me from the recent actions that YouTube's taken. So again, YouTube is a private company according to the United States court system, and so we can't force them to enforce our free speech rights. And they are the biggest game in town by far. There are It's like they have 95% reach, and everybody else only has 1 or 2% reach in terms of comparison. So that's why we persist on YouTube as much as we dislike having to uh, try to comply with their policies. So Gabrielle Hall has joined us on our YouTube channel, and thank you very much for that. I see you are checking in here with our chat on the Twitter page. And this is the first time I've seen a Twitter page chat show up here on my StreamYard. StreamYard is the software program that I use. It's kind of like Zoom, uh, and but it's more geared towards podcasting in particular. So that's why I call it StreamYard, because it's a product that you can use on a monthly basis. It's what is it about? Well, I think we're paying probably close to 75 bucks a month here for this, because we have the ability to stream to 8 different platforms, and I'm only using 5 of them right now. Thinking about joining Instagram for another channel. I understand now that it's possible to do live streaming on Instagram, and I've never looked at Instagram. I know a lot of people are on Instagram and been there for some time. Let's see now. And Reckoning Truth, I know you, Cindy. Hey, um, just delete the film if you do. That's right. And the trouble is that, you know, I know you have to delete them, but it takes a little while for them to process. And I forget to delete them, or else sometimes they give me the strike before I even get a chance to delete them. But yeah, absolutely. If I say something bad in this show, then my next task after the show's over is to delete the show from YouTube. It's always going to be on BitChute at our archive on BitChute Uncensored. So anything that you miss on any of my channels, you can always go to BitChute Uncensored. They're very good about not censoring. And so everything I've done for the past 3 years is up on BitChute Uncensored. Operation Fluffy Bunny. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Well, I'm working with a company called Content Safe. It's actually a man named Matthew Raymer, and he's a really nice guy who uses his power of computing to help redistribute my work. So that's why it ends up on Odyssey, for instance. If you follow me on Odyssey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I wish I could do live shows on Odyssey, but they're not there yet. I think we will get there sooner or later with doing live shows on Odyssey as well. So it's a good platform. It's very different. All these platforms are different. I could probably also be broadcasting on Twitch, but I guess I can't handle but so much. And right now, managing where we're at and the time that it takes to reconfigure if we have to change something. Anyway, it is good. It's all good right now. I like the way we're setting up the studio, so that we don't have to change things around now. If we want to have a two-shot studio, well, Marcia can just come in and sit down on the chair, and we'll turn on the mic and plug her in, and we will be able to do once again our show like we did last night, for the first time, just the two of us talking about the China study. Hello, Gardenia Bee. I like that. Gardenia B, many are going to Rumble. Yes, I am going to Rumble. And good tech training, John, says Corky. Now, speaking of Rumble, let me go over to the Rumble channel. And let me make sure I mute this computer here before we do. And now see if there is any chat going on at the Rumble channel. All right, there is the Rumble channel, and Road Warrior is there saying good morning. And we have 8 people watching on the Rumble channel according to the view count. So, once again, if you want to engage in the chat, you can chat with me on the Rumble channel. You can chat with one another on the Rumble channel, and you can also do the same on Facebook. You can do it on uh, McDuff Lives 2 or McDuff Lives 3, and you can chat on any of those. I don't think you can chat on the Twitter channel, but maybe I'm wrong. It looks like this post over here is actually from a Twitter channel from Gabrielle. Is that right, Gabrielle Hall? Did you are you watching on Chitter on the Twitter channel, or what we should call X now? But the little icon you got is a little blue bird, a little blue circle with a white Twitter bird in it. So somehow Twitter is now enabling chat, and the chat is passing through my StreamYard. Pretty interesting. Yeah, so what we're doing, we're trying to just spread things out. So, I have 100 views on this channel and 200 on that and 200 on another one, and maybe only 4 or 5 on the YouTube channels now. And that's good. We're making the transition. But, I'm not going to have 1,000 views all in one place anymore, because I can't afford to lose that one place, as we did so many times back in, the 2020 and 2021. Those years were really bad for uh, McDuff channel getting censored. Howdy, Corn. Good morning. We can even put that one up on the screen. I enjoyed your show with Marcia. Thank you. And Marcia did a great job. She's uh, finally has the time after her career's over to get back into something that she's always really loved, and that is audio, and audio and visual. She actually majored in radio, television, and film at the University of North Carolina. Well, speaking of Marcia, little news for you guys about us. We are getting ready to go on a. Oh, there's George Webb checking in, and he's apparently watching on Twitter as well. And George says, "Hey, John, 3 listening here in Columbus, Ohio." And I'm glad you're in Columbus, Ohio. Guess what? Um, we will be in Cincinnati, Ohio. No, sorry, strike that. Cancel that. Mouth is not obeying brain here for some reason. We will be in Cleveland, Ohio next Wednesday and Thursday. Why? Because we're going to go to the Cleveland Clinic. And we have a referral to the Cleveland Clinic to talk to their experts about prostate cancer, about my particular metastatic prostate cancer. And we have confidence that this is like the source of the best, most current information we can find. I hope that it doesn't turn out to be just another uh, avenue to point me towards chemotherapy, which was what I felt about the first oncologist that we saw, and the marketing and just the negative feelings that you get when you go to that oncologist. We talked about it last night. But we are pursuing the other remedies that we've discussed so much with Nick Batowski on our series of extreme exploring wellness. I refer to them, and I refer to them in my Substack. Or if you want to read my quote protocols, what I'm taking, the things that I won't discuss here because we're on YouTube. But we are seeking an integrative medicine approach, integrate the great uh, academic and lab people with the people that have done the actual studies, uh, imperfect though the studies may be, that lead to these alternate remedies that are not prescribed because they haven't been, quote, tested, they haven't had double blind studies, and nobody seems to be financing those studies. And of course, that's part of the reason that we have such a deep suspicion of our medical system, because why aren't they trying to test out things that are cheap and easy to find? That's one of the big questions that the world is facing right now, isn't it? So, thanks for checking in, George. And once again, I think we have a flexible time up in Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland, so be interesting. We want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course, and that'll be fun. So we're going to try to keep it light and just an introductory trip, but it's a privilege to be able to talk to these top experts. And I thank Marcia for making the phone calls, and the connections did work out for that. So that's progress, because I think we will gain a little bit more confidence in what we know and what we don't know, and be able to make decisions. Uh, Decisions about what type of treatment to enter into and what to avoid. The aside from the medications, some of which are approved for animal use, and aside from um, the allopathic cures that are offered, or not cures, but we can we can increase your statistical likelihood of surviving 5 years if you do this. That's basically what they're telling you. Um, but this colossal issue of nutrition, which Marcia keeps focusing on, I think is also part of our work now, because I'm the guinea pig, and I'm not going to violate the the ideas that we have in terms of plant-based, whole food, whole grains, and avoiding all dairy and meat products. So that's also possible, good news for the world if, 5 years from now, I'm saying, hey, look at what we did, and I'm perfectly healthy. So these multiple approach, this integrative medicine, that's what we're after, and that's what we're trying to do. The show schedule will be a little iffy. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to do Wednesday or Thursday, but we're going to try to arrange something. And if people are around Cleveland and want to get together, perhaps Thursday night, that would be fine. We could perhaps meet in the hotel or some other convenient place and have a little get together, perhaps a little mini charrette. All right, and thank you, George, for joining the McDuff Lives channel on Rumble. There are, of course, as I said, there are three sub-channels to McDuff Lives, and the one that goes live is the one called McDuff Lives, all one word. And I don't know why they set it up that way, but that's the way it is. So thank you again for signing up for the Rumble channel. And let's say hello to some other folks that have checked in over on Twitter. And Black Rabbit is here on YouTube. Saw a brown bunny yesterday. Oh, I don't know what that is. Brightmore, hello. Um, Brightmore says, Channel 1 is rolling out all A1 newsroom, replete with CGI anchors and reporters. I don't know what Channel One is. Is that like a British channel? I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Brightmore. And oh, Sloan Kettering, New York has a good reputation for cancer treatment. Isn't it interesting? We find these names like Sloan and people that have been that our investigative colleagues and me have been investigating, and yet they get their names on the uh, big institutions, all that money. So yeah, and it is kind of a little bit uncomfortable because here I am trying to mentally psych myself into I am defeating this. The uh, imagery that I was given by Nick. I practiced this, and one of the images is that the cancer is represented by some little black spots. I think of them kind of like the little black virus particles that they used in the 2012 Olympics. But anyway, these little black spots, and then what we're doing with the medication, et cetera, is that we've created this major snowstorm, and the snow is just falling down and covering up and cooling off and letting them calm down and slowly fade away so that the cancer dies out because of our mental attitude. The mental attitude is, we got this thing. I'm not worried about it. It's not it's not going to kill me. And yet, when I expose myself to these allopathic doctors, they are like, you can tell they think it's going to kill me. So, am I putting my head in the lion's mouth just to go to the Cleveland Clinic? I don't know. I think, we have to try everything we can, and these are the so-called experts, the pros from Dover. Anyway, we're going. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Cleveland, and it's all good. And we're going to drive. It's going to be a fun trip. And no, we're not taking the dogs. We have arranged for our friendly dog sitter to spend the nights, and they'll be fine. And Brightmore is calling attention to Maersk ships pausing, I guess, in Red Sea, and in Red Sea voyages, Houthis attack. I haven't followed it. I guess it's not really being covered very much on mainstream media either, but I don't watch mainstream, so it's another reason I haven't followed it. Be interesting to hear what George Webb thinks about it. And no, Cindy, we're not going to take chemotherapy. Nope. Okay, and Cindy mentioned the name of a medication generally prescribed for uh, animals, and I'm not going to mention it, but you know what we're talking about. Brightmore explains that Channel One used to broadcast in schools. AI startup. This AI is hitting everybody all of a sudden like whack. Suddenly there's this AI thing, and boy, is it a rabbit hole. I mean, the idea that you can just tell this thing to create an image for you, and it does it. It's enticing as hell. It's like, okay, create a dream world for me that matches my own idea of the dream world. You know, most of these things have. It looks kind of like a cartoon blended with, some with reality. So you might say, well, turn me into a cat riding on a spaceship flying to Mars, and boom, there's your picture. There you are. It's an image that might have a little of you in it, and a cat sitting on a spaceship flying to Mars. Well, if you're a kid and can play with that, my goodness. But even if you're an adult and you can play with that, I mean, it seems to me that it is in the first instance, it's a big distraction. But in the second instance, it is another seduction of us away from the written word. You don't need books. All you have to do is ask, Grok or ask Chat GPT or any of the other ones I don't know the names of yet. I've never tried it, but a lot of people, people that do research into scientific issues benefit from it. I see George does it. And, if you can gain, the exact molecular structure of something you're studying just by asking a chat program, then that's a good thing. But, for me, if I started looking into that and making those automatic drawings like it does, uh, I don't know. It just seems like a big waste of time. But more than that, it's drawing us like Kindle does, like a Kindle does, away from buying books. You don't need to have a bookshelf or a library, you know. And that's the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm buying 3, 4 books every week. I've spent thousands of dollars on books. Everything I get from Patreon goes into books. And you know, and thank you for joining my Patreon. It has been hit pretty hard in the past year and a half, but we have about $200 a month coming in right now. Now we used to have over $1,000 a month coming in, and that was when the channel was able to, draw and have, we had 12,000 subscribers, and it was doing really well. But all of this attack on me by the powers that be has cost that. So my sole source for support right now is Patreon. You can visit me at just Patreon/John O'Loughlin, and there's you can join there if you would like. But what I really would appreciate, if you haven't yet, or even if you have, is to buy my books. Buy my book about my dad. If you already have one, get an extra one. Try to put it in a library. Put it, place it with some veterans somewhere. I like what George has done, is talked about it with the veterans in the veterans homes when he visits there. And but that way, it's $10. The publishing costs are something like $4, and then there's the packaging and the mailing, which is a few more dollars. But so I don't make a lot of money on them. I make like $3 or $4 each time it's sold, which is, you know doesn't add up very quickly. But the point is to get the book out there. That's why I'm doing this. I want you to understand what happened to my dad, because it's what's happening to the country in the story of one person. George Webb says, RFK Jr. talks quite a bit about Operation Mongoose that his father ran in his book American Values. That's interesting. I noticed that book, but I thought it was probably just a fluff piece. It sounds kind of like, um, yeah, I grew up, I'm an American and I have American values, and this is what the book's about. I wasn't expecting actual content, so that's cool. Maybe I should get that one too. Polly. Thank you, Polly. It's always good to hear from you. Um, yeah, I feel good. I'm doing good. Brightmore says he knows an infectious disease specialist who was cured at Sloan Kettering. Good. Yeah, that's the word that I want to hear. I want to hear somebody say, "Here, we're going to cure you," and that's where they choke. That's where they won't say that. As a matter of fact, they tell you, once it metastasizes, nah, nothing you can do. We can extend your life if you take these meds, but it's going to get you. That's their attitude. That's what they believe. They learned it in school. Their mentors enforce it, and that's what they tell us. So nobody says I can cure your cancer. Nobody says that to me. But if somebody would say that to me, it would make me feel better. It would make me feel like, oh, well, at least there's somebody out there that believes that we can beat this. And that's why I love the folks like Karma Doc. She does believe that we can beat this. Nick Petoskey believes and, encourages me to believe that we can beat this. And there's also God and the power of prayer, and we can turn it over to God and say, God, please handle my cancer today. I want to do service for you. I don't want to, uh, be ill. I don't want to have to cut short my work on this earth. And so please, help me. And the other, I'm encouraged because there's so many stories of doctors that have come up with ways to help people and then they've gotten quashed or even killed. And what that tells me, while I'm sad for those people, is that there are things that work that are not in the Merck manual. And Cindy says, sit for an IV of 40,000 milligrams of vitamin C once every 6. Well, okay, we're not giving medical advice here on the channel. This is just a suggestion. But, once again, I have specifically asked a urologist whether he would prescribe that for me. And he said no. And he pointed to a study that said in the case of prostate cancer, uh, the intravenous vitamin C is not indicated. As a matter of fact, it can be harmful. So, there's a study there. It's a published study that says don't do that. Um, so again, who do you trust? Or do you actually have to make your own decision? And then you have to believe in that decision and put that belief into your heart so that you know that you're doing the right thing and you don't worry all the time. Because worrying all the time is part of the disease. And that's what I'm trying to say when I say, when you go in and see one of these specialists and they tell you, well, we can extend your life expectancy from 2 to 4 years. And you're thinking, wait a minute, that's not a cure. You're telling me I'm going to be cured? No, you're just saying your statistics are going to show that I survived for 5 years and a day. And you're going to call that a victory, but it's not. Because a cure is what we have to have. And that, I think, is the only goal worth pursuing right now. And Cindy says, don't bother going to Cincinnati. I mean, to Cleveland. I keep messing it up. Cleveland Clinic. I know how you feel. I wonder how if Karma Doc feels the same way, but you know, we're gonna go. Black Rabbit, hello, Black. Allopathic doctors love fear equals money for them and eugenics. Please be careful, no chemo radiation. Yeah, that's where I was the first time when I went through it in 2016 was we went straight to the radiation because of the very high numbers that I had, very scary numbers. They told me, I had a, a, a chance if I did what they said, but if I didn't, so I did what they said, got the radiation. All right, Cindy, thanks for your thoughts. I'm not going to publish them just because I don't want YouTube to say, oh, you're practicing medical misinformation. No, we're not. Um, Mike in Missouri. Hello, Mike. Good to see you live with George watching too. Yeah, it's good to have George watching. Thank you, George, for uh, spending a little time with us here on McDuff Lives channel. You guys collaborate very often anymore. Well, it remains to be seen. George is somebody that likes to keep moving, and like I didn't know he would show up in Columbus, Ohio this morning, but there he is. And I think that's part of how he keeps alive too, is to not necessarily telegraph all of his plans. It was really great to have George probably 3 times a week for a couple of years visiting me here on the island, and also remotely when he was out on the road. And I've got, oh gosh, a couple of hundred of those shows that were taken down by YouTube, but we will somehow repackage them, somehow get them back up for people to enjoy. A lot of George's earlier research is kind of discussed in those shows. So if go back to Pug Winokur and DynCorp and uh, Haiti, remember discussing the issues of the Clinton Foundation and a lot of fascinating material that we covered back then. So when I'm able to do it, I will try to start republishing those too, just so you guys can benefit from George's knowledge that he was sharing with me back in 2020, 2021. Black Brightmore says Blinken is telling Bibi to wind down shooting the Palestinian fish in the Gaza barrel now. Also appears to be an excuse to pull U.S. aid for genocided Ukraine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's all, trading, men's bodies for money. Let's throw 1,000 more men into the meat grinder and we'll make some more money. So that's what I see. These are oligarchs fighting oligarchs. You know, I mean, unless if you think Putin is a Democrat, no, he's another oligarch. You know, and the Ukrainian guys, those are oligarchs, and they're all themselves puppets of a financial system that is incentivizing the murder of young men in the Ukraine just to get them out of the way. It's like they did in World War I in Europe. You get rid of the young men so the old guys can get all the girls. No, it's not about the women. It's about the property. It's about the land, about the breadbasket of Europe and the world. It's a huge country. Ukraine is huge, and the resources, aside from the soil, are deep in their mountains in their uh, eastern side. There, where the Russians have been living for a long time. Okay, Ukraine, Gaza. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. I'm glad everybody is out in the streets protesting the genocide, the killing of children. It's horrific. But I don't have a lever on that. I don't have a handle that I can say, here's where you're wrong, guys. Here's where you got to stop. Um, the idea of war as an answer at all is where they're wrong, and that's all I can say. War is not the answer unless you decide you want to commit some horrible crimes, genocide. Okay, and Black Rabbit, once again, here's a reference that we got for early on. Ty Bollinger's series TTAC, The Truth About Cancer, is very good. They have a few series. I I can't watch that. When we first got the diagnosis back in June or July, somebody, I think it was Karmadoc, sent a link to the show. It's a show called The Truth About Cancer, episode 1. And at the time, we were looking for an oncologist, and we started looking at it, and there's like, well, there's Mercola on it. There's uh, Griffin, G. Edward Griffin, the guy that does all the historical stuff, Anthony Sutton material, and he's done an awful lot uh, of kind of uh, red pill video, but he's not an oncologist. And in the first 10 minutes of the show is like just see all the doctors that are part of our team, and they all, it's a very highly well produced thing, and it just goes into uh, I don't know. To me, it's like you're in 10th grade and somebody wants you to watch a movie made for the kindergarten. That's as simple as I can put it. It's just too produced. It's too I made it about 15 minutes into it, and we didn't learn a single thing. Maybe that's just tells me that when this movie was made, nobody knew this stuff. But, everything in the first 20 minutes of that movie, we already knew it, and we didn't need to hear it said over and over and over and over again. Right? So that's why we couldn't watch it. But we did get also referred to another movie, and that is Forks Over Knives. And Forks Over Knives is a great discussion of the China study and things that have been done since then about the China study, and really reinforcing us in our commitment to good nutrition as part of the cure. And nutrition may be the cure. Who knows? Nobody's done the testing yet. I'm the guinea pig. I'm going to do the nutrition cure. I'm going to do the other cures that we can't name on YouTube. And I'm going to find out whatever the Cleveland Clinic has at their latest research, and see if any of that might be helpful to me. I'm not I'm not saying no to anything. I just want to understand it though. I'm not going to be drawn into something that I don't understand. Oh, Cindy, thank you. Make me a buy me a coffee account. I do George and Peter that way. Thank you so much. That's great, and thank you for supporting George and Peter. Um, I do have a buy me a coffee account. Addie set it up for me when he was here visiting me. He did some work for me a couple of months ago, and he set up a buy me a coffee account. And maybe I can even find it. Let's see. Yeah, and Addie's a good man. I appreciate his help. He struggles with having to make a living, and I sympathize with him. If I didn't have my Social Security and a little bit I get from Patreon, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to do this. All right, guess what we're going to do? We're going to take Buy Me a Coffee and put it in the chat room. Okay, so what it says is just buymeacoffee.com/McDuff Lives. See if this goes up there. Okay, there it is. Yeah, and I thank the people that made me bought me some coffees back when we posted this 2 months ago. So, and I need to just put this put this into the show notes of my shows. If I'd have done this 2 years ago, I'd probably have a sounder financial basis. It's just like losing those first 900 shows because I all I wanted to do was get the content out there. I was outraged that George had his channels taken down, and I started mine so that he could broadcast on mine until he got his back. Well, that's ancient history now, but uh, I've never been somebody that wanted to, check all the boxes and do all the things that are necessary to have a really, tight professional um, production, with archives and indexing, you know. That's why I had to have Addy help me. He indexed over 1,000 of my videos, the ones that I still have. So now we are able to sort them out and put the appropriate ones up on our archive and on our McDuff Minefields archive. And good morning to Rick L. Olson. Thank you for joining us, Rick. And let's see who else is here. He says his sister got cured. She's in the Roundup suit. Used gallons on her property. Wow. They use stem cell therapy. Interesting. Cindy says, can you read for us Fruit from a Poisonous Tree by Stamper? I wouldn't mind. I don't know the piece. Sounds like a quote from a very famous legal case. Corky says, never underestimate the power of positive thinking and use it. Yes, amen to that. All right, Cindy's getting tough now. She says, I must do this or else. Capiche? Yeah, all right. Thank you. I take you seriously, Cindy. I'm not just laughing. I take you seriously, and thank you for that. Let's see. Oh, let's talk about this here. Gar, come on. Gardenia B says Putin is loyal to his country and supports families. Yes, and I agree. And Putin also supports NGN, GMO, non-GMO crops. Absolutely, I agree. Um, and but those are great things, and that's part of why it's good to have his different approach to these things. However, financially, you've got to recognize his ties to Hermann Greff, the Alpha Bank, the Rothschilds, and he didn't just come out of nowhere. This guy came out of the KGB. He's certainly well connected with other oligarchs. Maybe he's not one. Maybe he's just a politician, but he works with oligarchs all the time. These people that own, billions of dollars because they happen to get in on a deal, you know. Uh, and then there's the whole issue again of turning over world health care to the World Health Organization. He's fine with that. He's, done the same thing that Western governments have in regard to violating human rights in order to make sure everybody gets one of the JABs. Yeah. So I can't love Putin, even though, yeah, he's for families, and I'm glad for that. I'm for families, and I am glad that he supports, he opposes GMO crops. That's extremely important. And, those 2 issues on their own make me like him better than any of the American candidates, but he's still a part of it. They're all, in a sense, in that big club that George Carlin told us about, the one that we're not in. Here's another one, Gardenia Beast, Putin supports the Orthodox Church. And, I'm glad for that. I'm glad to have the Orthodox Church as a representative of true Christianity, as close as any organized church can be. And uh, a lot of the wars of the 20th century were about the Catholic Church wanting to destroy the Orthodox Church. Nevertheless, that doesn't make Putin any better than any of the other world leaders in terms of consolidating totalitarian control over the economy because he's down with central banks. Central bank digital currency is coming to Russia. We know that from Riley Wagaman, who's reported on it. It's coming. It's already been signed into law. And then you have, they have their Sputnik things and AstraZeneca. It's all in those very important fields, nothing different from the West. And that's what's sad about Putin and those that support him. I wish there was something you could do to get him out of these Western-oriented totalitarian schemes. Brightmore says, "Are you asking?" Let me try to get this up there. Are you asking about high-intensity focused ultrasound treatment while you're at Cleveland? I don't know. I have never heard of it, so I don't know if I'm asking about it or not. Perhaps you would suggest a reason why I should ask about it. Or perhaps this is a suggestion that I should ask about it. I imagine that that's the way to take it. I don't know what it is. Sounds interesting. Thanks for the idea. Hello, Victoria Kennedy. Nice to have you with us this morning, or wherever you are, what time it is. And have you tried having the geeks retrieve the show files from your hard drive? The show files are not on my hard drive. That's the big problem, Brightmore. Um, Not on there. I mean, it maybe if there's a shadow of them on there, like the way that they can trace things that used to be on your computer a long time ago. I don't know about that. I mean, that sounds kind of extraordinarily iffy, but no, I haven't gone down that road. DJ Patriot joined my Rumble channel. Thank you so much. I need a little bell to ring when people join my Rumble channel. I'll tell you what, number 1,000, whoever's number 1,000, I'm going to send you a free signed book of McDuff Lives, The Life and Untimely Death of Thomas F. O'Loughlin Jr. That will be yours, number 1,000 on Rumble. So we got a ways to get there. Thank you very much for joining DJ Patriot. And Gardenia B, one more round with you. Okay, here we go. She says, or Gardenia B, perhaps be a person, a human, a male or a female. IDK, I don't know whether Putin is a dictator, but I'm certain he's against the globalist cabal. If he's against the globalist cabal, let's see him take down the World Economic Forum, okay? Instead of supporting it. Let's see him take down the World Health Organization instead of supporting it. Let's see him oppose central bank digital currencies instead of instigating them. Okay, that's three things. Those are big things. Those are big items. And there's what tells me that Putin, you know, yeah, he's fighting for the people. He's fighting like Trump. Trump's fighting for the people, right? The common person. But they don't veer from the script when it comes to these essential things that lead us inexorably into a totalitarian world that we'll never ever get out of. That's the big message. The big message is no, we cannot have global control over our bodies, over our minds, over our atmosphere, over our water, over our food. No, we can't have it. And as long as Putin is going along with those three major programs, you cannot make the case that he's going to fight the cabal. That's my opinion. And I'm sorry because I wish I could agree with you. All right, and let's let this one be the last comment for this morning. Victoria Kennedy says, I'm praying for you for your healing and hope you will be playing music again soon. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Marcia and I come up with a little Christmas time celebration in a week or two. We'll have to stay tuned and find out. And let me check back over to our friends at and say hello to everybody that's there. Once again, thank you for signing up to our Rumble channel. Road Warrior is there. 767 Aviatrix is there, and 13 people are watching. Have you tried a 3-day fast? No, I have not done that yet. I understand the theory. I think Dr. Joe Lee is probably right about that, but I haven't done it, and I'm not sure why, except for life seems to require a certain amount of food in me right now. I am trying to do things like I did the opera. That was a major, major undertaking, and I needed to have food for that. Um, who knows? Maybe over the holidays. I felt sick a couple days ago and didn't eat much for about 2 days. But as far as a 3-day fast, nope, not yet. Road Warrior says Ukraine demarcates the edge of the Eastern and Western churches. Brzezinski had familiar roots in the Galicia region of Ukraine. This turf war has roots in the Great Schism and maybe earlier. And Carol MM is now a monthly supporter of my Rumble channel. Wow. So that you're the first person to sign up for Rumble monetization, Carol MM. And thank you, dear. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so our channel is expanding. Our reach is expanding. We are not going to fight with YouTube. We're going to roll with the punches, but we're not stopping with YouTube. And who knows? I may show up on another uh, platform such as Instagram any moment. Thanks again, George Webb, for checking in with us this morning. And yeah, we will definitely do some more collaborating as opportunities arise. I wish everyone good health, good nutritious food, and a very enjoyable weekend.